Hi to all. My name is Professor Ian Gralnek. I'm the Chief of Gastroenterology and Hepatology at EMIC Medical Center in Afula, Israel. It's a pleasure to be here. And by the way, I am also the Secretary General of the ESGE. It's been my honor to serve as the Secretary General these past 2 years for that society. I became interested in gastroenterology way back when I was in my second year of medical school at the University of Minnesota in the United States. And it was because the GI pathophysiology course was an extremely interesting course, and it just got me interested at that time. And later, when I did my residency in internal medicine, I became more interested in gastroenterology, especially more interested in endoscopy. So my career in gastroenterology is a little bit interesting. As I've said, I became interested when I was in medical school, and then during my internal medicine residency at the University of Minnesota, I became further interested in gastroenterology. This was right at the time of the advent of video endoscopy. So it was very interesting, and we used to see the gastroenterologist come into the intensive care unit and be able to do the bedside emergency cases. I later went on to do my gastroenterology fellowship training at UCLA in Los Angeles. And at that point, I was mentored by Dr. Dennis Jensen, who is one of the pioneers in endoscopic evaluation and treatment of gastrointestinal bleeding. And from there, I was able to get some research funding and career development award funding. One thing leads to another. And up until 2005, I was in the United States. Since 2005, my family and I made a move to Israel. My wife is Israeli born, and we've been here in Israel for the past 15 years. And I work as a gastroenterologist and endoscopist. And now, as I've said, I'm now the chief of a gastroenterology department at one of the hospitals here in Israel. So it's been interesting. It's been fun. It's sometimes been challenging, but I truly like waking up every day and going to work. It's a real pleasure, and I feel very lucky that I have that or this career in gastroenterology and endoscopy. My current research is focused again in the area of endoscopy. It's quite varied, but endoscopy, GI bleeding, endoscopic technologies as well, not just within GI bleeding, but other areas. In Israel, we are called the startup nation. There's a lot of startup companies that deal with medical devices and medical technologies. So I'm also very fortunate to be in a place that is at the forefront of developing technologies within gastroenterology and endoscopy. So I've had a lot of experience with evaluating endoscopic technologies and work with a number of startup companies here in Israel, as well as endoscopy companies abroad. So it's all part of my research portfolio that's ongoing within the area of endoscopy mainly. As more of an endoscopist, what really fascinates me about the digestive system is that we have, over the past decade or two, become more and more advanced and innovative in our endoscopic approach to the digestive system, where there are now many places in the world, including here in Israel, that we are really doing endoscopic surgery or surgical endoscopy, however you want to call that. And there are now many diseases that in the past we were either unable to diagnose or unable to treat endoscopically, that we now are able to do that. Whereas before we may have had to send some of our patients for surgical procedures, which can be much more morbid type procedures, we now do these things endoscopically, where we save on time in the hospital. It may be often safer, and we also can save on resource utilization. So it's a very exciting time because the field of gastrointestinal endoscopy is really rapidly expanding and becoming more and more interventional. This year, UEG is going to be a little bit different, but I still think it's going to be a fantastic meeting. Even though it's going to be virtual or online, we all have to adapt to what is now currently the new normal. And I really hope that all of you will join us at UEG this year online for this great meeting. I'm going to be giving a talk in a session on portal hypertension, specifically, not surprisingly, on endoscopic management of variceal bleeding, which is a very hot topic. And I hope you all will be there for that lecture. I look forward to seeing you there, and enjoy.